Hi everyone, my name is Oksana, I'm from Sigma Software.
Hello, I'm Nastya and I am a tutor at Tinkerteens School.
Sigma Software is a global company that provides software development services for customers worldwide. We have more than 2,000 specialists and many of them work as software developers. That's why we understand how crucial it is to invest in educational coding programs such as
Code Week. Code Week is an international movement that encourages both children and adults to explore the world of technology. This year, Sigma Software and Tinkerteens School have teamed up to share their coding expertise with school-aged children. We have created several videos where we will delve into the fundamentals of programming together. For our younger prodigies, we'll be using Scratch, while our older students will create their very own games in Construct 3.
By the way, you can join our hackathon and win amazing prizes from Sigma Software and
Tinkerteens School.
For that, you have to watch all the tutorials, create your own game and send it to the organizers.
So, let's create, let's innovate, let's code. Join us for the Code Week and we'll see you at the hackathon.
Bye-bye!
Today, we will learn how to create a game in Scratch, and after watching this video, you can participate in our hackathon and win some prizes sponsored by Tinkerteens School and Sigma Software. So let's start. In any browser, let's open a new tab and type Scratch in the search field. Let's open this link. scratch.mit.edu. First, we will need to register on this platform, so we'll click Join Scratch, and you will need to think of a username and a password for your account. So your username must be unique. So for example, if I type Nastya, Scratch won't allow me to use this username. Let's try to think of something else. Then let's also create a password and type it again below. After this, let's click on Next and choose the country where you live. The next thing you need to specify is the month and year you were born. Then select your gender. And the last thing is specify your email or your parents' email. Now we're ready to create our first project. Let's click on this button, Create. Let's see what we have on this window. So at the top of the page, you have the settings where you can change the language of the interface if you need to. If you click on this field, you can change the name of the project. By default, it's entitled, but let's change it to something like Maze Game. Today we will create a maze game in Scratch, but for the hackathon, you don't have to create a maze game. You can create any game. Today we will just demonstrate the basics of Scratch by creating this maze game. In this menu on the left, we have blocks. So in Scratch, you can program the logic of your game using blocks. These blocks are divided into different groups: motion, looks, sound, events, control, sensing, operators, variables, and you can also create your own custom blocks using the existing ones. In the middle, you have this white area where we will put commands for our sprites. Sprites are objects in Scratch that you add onto your scene. On the left, we see the scene. This is how our game looks like. Now, on our scene, we have an orange cat. This is a default sprite that is added when you create a new project in Scratch. So first of all, we will need to add a backdrop for our game, the maze that we will need to walk in. So in order to choose the background, we will click on this icon at the bottom of the page, and there are 3 ways you can add a backdrop onto your game. You can choose an existing background from the Scratch library. If you click on this looking glass, you will see there a few pictures which you can select and use as a backdrop. However, I don't see a maze here, so let's go back and try to use something else. You can also paint your own backdrop. If you click on this paintbrush, an editor will open and you can use the existing tools to paint your own backdrop. Or you can also upload backdrops from your computer. So for the maze, I think I will draw it myself. So I will choose a rectangle shape, and as a fill, I will just select a line. And let me draw one square, then another square inside of the first one, and then another square, which is going to be a little bit smaller. Great. So these are the 3 squares. These are the walls of the maze. And now let's take an eraser, and I will just erase a few pixels for these rectangles to build the connections between the walls of the maze. After this, let's also choose the main character of the game. By default, we have this orange cat. If you don't want to use this cat as a character, you can click on this trash bin icon and delete it. And just with the backdrops, you can also use 3 ways to upload a sprite onto your game. You can use a sprite from the library, you can paint a sprite yourself, or you can upload sprites from the computer. So I will choose a sprite from this library in Scratch. I think I will take Pico as the main character in my game. Good. So now we have Pico on the scene. Pico is a bit too large now. Let's learn how to make him a bit smaller. So if you click on this field size, you see that it is currently set to 100. Let's make this number a bit smaller. So instead of 100, I will type 30. And now our Pico is smaller, and he can walk through the walls of this maze without touching them. Great. Now let's learn how to make Pico move. I want Pico to move when I press the key arrows on my keyboard. So when I move the right key arrow, Pico moves to the right. When I press the left arrow key, Pico moves to the left. When I press the up arrow, Pico moves up, and so on. In order to do this, we will need to take a look at how to control the position of your sprite in Scratch. In Scratch, we store positions using 2 values, the X value and the Y value. The X value stores horizontal position of your character. So let's change the X value manually to 100. And you will see the Pico has moved to the right. If I make this value a bit smaller, for example, I will set X to 10 instead of 100, you see the Pico moves to the left. So if you want to move your character to the right, you need to increase the X value. If you want to move your character to the left, we will decrease the X value. For horizontal position, we use X. For vertical position, for moving up and down, we will change the Y coordinate. So let's say I want Y to be 100. And now my Pico has moved up. If I change it to something smaller, for example 5, you will see the Pico has moved down. So if you want your character to move higher, you need to increase the Y value. If you want to move it down, you need to decrease this value. And now let's do this in code. So first of all, we want Pico to react to our key arrows. So when we press on the key arrows, we want Pico to move. In order to do this, we'll go to Events, and we'll take this block when space key pressed. Instead of space, we will choose arrow keys. We will add an event for the right arrow, Then let's also drag another block for the left arrow and do the same for the up arrow and down arrow. Great. And now let's change the x and y values for Pico. To do this, we can go to motion. So first, let's make sure Pico can move to the right. For horizontal movement, right and left, we will need to change the x value. So in motion, let's find this command, change x by 10. And let's make this value a little bit smaller. Let's change it by 5. And when I press the right arrow key on my keyboard, you see that now Pico can move to the right. If I click on the left arrow key, nothing happens because we haven't specified what we're going to do when we press this key. So if I want to move to the left, we will also need to change x, so we'll take this same command. However, because we want to move to the left, we will need to decrease the x value. So we will not specify change x by 10, we will say change x by -5 to decrease the value of x. And now if I click on the left arrow key on the keyboard, Pico can move to the left as well. Now let's make Pico move up and down. In motion, for vertical movement, we will need to change the y value. So we'll take this block, change y by 10, and for moving up, we can just say change y by 5. And now Pico can move up. For moving down, we will also change y, but instead of changing it by 5, we will need to specify by -5, because if we want to move down, we want to decrease the y value. And now let's click on the down arrow key, and we see that now Pico can move down as well. Great. So now Pico can actually walk in all directions, and he can walk through the maze and get to the middle. Cool. Let's add another sprite onto our scene. This will be an object that Pico searches for in this game. So I will click on the looking glass, and let's say I want Pico to search for a microphone. I will place it in the middle of the maze, and let's also change its size to 30. Great. Now let's click on Pico again, and let's say if Pico gets to the microphone, we want to play some sound, then move Pico back to the entry. In order to do this, we will go to Events, and we will choose this event when green flag clicked. After this, we'll go to Control, and we will take the forever loop. So everything we put inside this forever block will be repeated infinitely. So we use it for constant actions, something that we want to do constantly in our game. And inside this forever loop, we want to check for a condition if Pico is touching the microphone. So we'll take this block, if then, and place it inside the forever loop. So we'll be constantly checking if Pico touches the microphone already or not. You see this empty shape here inside if then block. We need to place the condition inside this empty shape. So our condition is if Pico touches the microphone. We can find this condition in the Sensing tab. Let's take this very first block, touching mouse pointer, and put it inside this shape. Instead of touching mouse pointer, we will need to check if Pico touches the microphone. Great. After this, let's say we want Pico to say something. We'll go to Looks and take this block, say hello for 2 seconds, and place it inside the if condition. Instead of hello, let's say Pico will say, yay, I can say now for 2 seconds. And as we want to play some sound as well. So in order to add a sound to our sprite, let's click on this tab, Sounds. There's already one existing sound, but you can also add some more from the library or record your own sound, or you can also upload them from the computer as well. So I will choose a sound from the Scratch library. I want to play this collect sound when Pico gets the microphone. Now let's go back to code. Let's click on the sound tab and we'll take this command, play sound collect until done. Now we can test this. So let's try clicking on this green flag and walking through the maze. And now we hear the sound and Pico says, yeah, I can say now. Good. Also, after we take this microphone, let's place Pico back to the beginning of the game so that he can start walking through the maze again. In order to do this, we'll go to motion and we'll take this command, go to X and Y. So the beginning of our game is here, and at this position Pico has the following coordinate. The X value is -183, the Y is 22. So let's specify these values in this command as well. -183 and 22. Now let's try playing this game again. You can also open it in full screen mode by clicking on these 4 arrows here. Let's start the game and try to walk through the maze again. And you see that Pico has moved back to the entry of the maze. Great. Another thing we can do is, if Pico touches the walls of this maze, let's play some sound as well. So we will go to control section again, and we'll take another condition and place it after the first if here. This time we will check if Pico touches black color. This is the color of the walls. In this case, we'll place some maybe heat sound. So we'll go to sensing and we'll take the second block here, touching color. And you can click on the color here, choose the color picker, and on the scene, choose black. So if Pico touches this color, we will play some heat sound. Let's go to the sound step again and choose something like heat. Let's take tennis heat sound. We'll go back to code, and now we will play sound tennis heat until done, take this block and put it inside the second if condition. Let's try running the game again. And now if Pico touches the walls of the maze, we will play the sound. Great. That's it. Now, after you have created your game, you need to save it and send it to us. So in order to save your game, you need to click on this icon here, File, and click Save to your computer. It will be saved somewhere in the Downloads or Documents folder on your computer. Then you need to send us it via the email. So I will open Gmail on my computer and I will click Compose. And you need to send your work to this email, hello tinkerteens@gmail.com. In the subject, you need to specify your name, last name, and the date of your birth. So let's say you want to specify the month, the day, and the year. After this, you need to attach your project to this email. You can click on this icon here and choose the project from your computer. Wait for it to load and then click send. That's it. We wish you luck and we can't wait to see your projects. Thank you. Bye-bye.